Hi everybody, welcome to Monday's TNT, start of a brand new week. Thank you for all those people that supported us during the weekend with our live program and also with Grumpy Old Men yesterday. We're sort of in a strange period here in Thailand. It sort of feels a bit like the calm before the storm. In the next couple of weeks, we will have a new Thai government selected, and I don't really think that anybody knows exactly how that's going to unfold. It is going to be quite a tense time over the next 2 weeks, but we're not seeing that. It's only going to make itself apparent when they all get together in a few weeks. Let's just try and bring ourselves up to date with that. And from Thai PBS World, BhumJaiThai says no to any party advocating amendments to the Lese Majeste law. Now, BhumJaiThai, led by the Public Health Minister Anutin, who is the main author behind the decriminalisation of back on June the 6th last year. So he's been a very prominent politician in the previous government, but he has been conspicuous by his absence. Now, his party's pulled together some 71 MPs, both constituency and party lists. And he really, as some commenters have described him, is a bit of a kingmaker. But he hasn't been saying much for the past few weeks, so when he does open his mouth, as he did yesterday, people are thinking, well, what have you got to say? He's also brushing aside the suggestion that his party may join other parties to form a minority government, saying that minority government is old-style politics, which is irrelevant and unsustainable. The minority government perhaps being put together with some of the parties that won a lower number of seats, and they wouldn't have a majority in the lower house, even if they might have some general support in perhaps the upper house. But no policies will ever get passed. They wouldn't even survive the confidence motion. So I think, a minority government's not a great future for Thailand, but it is, among other things, on the cards. And Anutin chaired a meeting yesterday with the party's 66 new MPs, 5 were absent. He's scheduled to lead the party's 71 MPs, including himself, to the Election Commission, that's today, to receive certificates confirming their election. And commenting on the House meeting on July the 4th to vote for the House Speaker and 2 deputies, Anutin said it's still unclear who the candidates for the House Speaker and the 2 deputies will be. So both the Thai Party and the Move Forward Party, the parties that won the most number of seats in the election back on May the 14th, can't decide who they want to be the House Speaker. I think it's going to be decided over the next 2 days. It's been quite a distracting sideshow as we move forward towards a new parliament in Thailand. Meanwhile, the PattayaNews.com has done an article, Current Timeline to a New Thai Government, and again selected a perfectly suitable photo for that headline. And this article is basically a reprinting of a press release from the Thai government PR department. And from June the 20th to the 24th, well, we're sort of at the end of that, the now endorsed MPs were able to visit the Office of Election Commission. There's obviously still a few dawdling in today. Parliament must convene within 15 days of the election results being endorsed. This means the date for the first parliamentary meeting may fall anywhere from now until July the 3rd. Within 10 days of Parliament having convened and its members having engaged in their first formal meeting, the House of Representatives will hold its first meeting. And this date will fall between July the 4th and July the 12th, although initial expectations were for July the 4th. Now, I know there's a lot of you out there saying, we're just not interested in politics. Would you get on with it and do some other story? The thing is that the Thai political cycle and the decisions they make and the people that end up in Parliament, they're also going to determine tourism policy, the expenditure on new infrastructure, the immigration policy, what's happening with visas. So it is important for us to understand who these people are and what they're going to do. And it's saying there at the bottom, if the Royal Command is announced on July the 10th, the joint parliamentary meeting might be scheduled for July the 15th. That joint meeting of the 2 houses of Parliament is where they'll select the Prime Minister. So it looks like in the next 2 or 3 weeks we will have a new Prime Minister here in Thailand, and I bet those phones are running hot. Thanks for joining us on TNT. Big thanks to our sponsor, 5 Star Marine. Really appreciate their ongoing support. If you're looking for a VIP private charter out to the islands off Phuket, there's a special deal in the description below for TNT viewers. What did you get up to on the weekend? Actually, I figure there's still some of you watching this on Sunday night. Well, it's a brand new week here in Thailand. We've had somewhat of an Indian summer here, where the last 2 weeks we've had the most spectacular weather here in Phuket. Probably one of the best stretches of weather I can ever recall. Days of 30 degrees, light winds coming out of mostly the northwest. So it's all a little bit unseasonal when we're meant to be now in the wet season. But no rain for the past 2 weeks. I mean, maybe a few sprinkles, but mostly at night time. So the tourists have been having a wonderful time. Just a little bit more politics. And thenationthailand.com says, police, military prepare for mass protests if Pita's bid for PM is thwarted. And the armed forces and the Royal Thai Police are discussing security measures to implement if turmoil and violence erupts should Move Forward Party leader Pit Limjareonrat fail to be elected Prime Minister in the middle of next month. They said the armed forces and police feared that supporters of Move Forward and its major coalition party Pattaya may stage violent protests if the Move Forward-led coalition of 313 MPs fails to win support from 63 senators or MPs from other parties to elect Pita as the next Prime Minister of Thailand. Well, that's the simple and basic maths that's been facing everybody since the last election. The coalition needs 63 more votes from either senators or MPs, or a combination of both, and Pita will need a majority of the votes from a combined 750 MPs and senators to be elected Prime Minister, and the joint session will likely convene on July the 13th, as we discussed in the last article. And security officials are closely monitoring social media to gauge public opinion and will adapt their strategies based on social media posts. I can see them all sitting around in their war room with the dim flickering fluorescent lights, all looking very concerned with their tablets and their phones, going through Facebook and Line and Instagram. Whoa, that's a concern. The Army has instructed all soldiers in barracks near Parliament to be on standby. They include the Anti-Aircraft Artillery Division, the 1st Cavalry Regiment and the 4th Cavalry Battalion, as well as the Communications Regiment. Well, I mean, I think we all hope that there's going to be no violent protests after the election of the next Prime Minister and Parliament, but it's certainly on the cards if Pita Limjareonrat is not elected the next Thai Prime Minister. But we are, as I mentioned, in this next couple of weeks, in a sort of a calm before the storm. Now, to go to a completely different topic, and I mean completely, we go to Calsod English and their Facebook page. And Solange Dekker, 27 years old from the Netherlands, has won the Miss International Queen 2023 on Saturday night at Tiffany's show Pattaya in Chonburi. And the first runner-up was from Singapore and second runner-up from the United States. Miss International Queen allows transgender individuals to exhibit their talents and promote acceptance and understanding. It's a celebration of equality and diversity. And whilst there are so many people that still get their knickers in a knot over this stuff, in Thailand this sort of reportage is just completely banal, celebrating a beauty pageant winner. Here are some photos of the winner getting her crown, and the first and second runner-up all looking spectacular. And there's the winner from the Netherlands with all the other contestants. Obviously a good night had by everybody, and a little bit of glitz and glamour in Pattaya over the weekend. But it brings about this article from BangkokPost.com. Pride hypocrisy sparks backlash And the LGBTQ plus rights campaigners have criticised businesses for cashing in on products promoted during Pride Month while failing to support the call for equal rights. Now, walking around just about any commercial area in Thailand over the past month, we've been barraged with rainbow flags and Pride Month specials and Pride Month promotions. But the question is it about Pride Month or is it about selling stuff? And the founder of Trans Talents Consulting Group told the Bangkok Post that Pride Month, held in June, has been incorporated into companies' marketing strategies in a move she calls rainbow washing. Businesses use rainbow flags, logos and social media hashtags to promote their goods, she said, adding some have even produced special Pride Month edition goods to generate more income. However, they're overlooking the true meaning of Pride Month, she said. They make us into merely a source of income. Pride was not originally a celebration, but a commemoration of our struggle for not only civil rights, but also socio-economic inclusion and empowerment, such as equal rights and employment, promotions and access to education. These rights are important as they improve our living conditions. I don't think that could be better said by anybody. I think a lot of people try and equate pride as some sort of celebration of sexual revolution, but really that's what it's all about. And the business sector needs to back its support for the LGBTQ plus community with action, adding each company needs to ensure a safe workplace policy and provide them with mental health support. Well, provide a safe workplace and mental health support for everybody. Moving to Phuket and the world's 20 most beautiful streets. So in some newsroom, it was a quiet news day and the editor said, go and find the 20 most beautiful streets in the world. And I know we all laugh at these lists, but it is interesting nonetheless. But in the top 20, we've only got 3 in Asia, including number 10, which basically just says Cherry Blossoms Kyoto. I mean, there's a lot of streets in Kyoto during the season where you can see the cherry blossoms, so I'm not sure if that's quite a street or just a whole lot of streets with cherry blossoms. Number 17 in Georgetown, Malaysia, and you'll see a lot of that Sino-Portuguese architecture in Georgetown, much the same as you do in Phuket Old Town. And number 19, Soi Romanee in Phuket, and that is in Old Town Phuket. And the PhuketNews.com says Soi Romanee's place among world's best streets, praised by Thai officials, and the inclusion of Phuket's historical alley, Soi Romanee, in the list of the world's 20 most beautiful streets has garnered praise from caretaker PM Prayut Chan-o-cha. So for those that don't know much about this street, here is a quick look from a YouTube page and going from a bit of a wander down the street. This happened back in 2022 and it is a very popular street and it's part of that Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening market in Talang Road. And yeah, lots of little cafes, souvenir shops, natty little restaurants, a very pretty street to walk up and down. The funny thing is a lot of people don't really know much about the history of Soi Romanee, and talk about a media makeover. Located in the heart of Phuket's old town, Soi Romanee is a stunning site with shophouses reflecting a unique style of Sino-Portuguese fusion. Once the centre of the red light district, yes, it's got a very colourful history indeed, and in the past this side street served as the red light district of Phuket, where one would find brothels, opium dens, gambling houses and other similar entertainment venues, many of which now stand as ruins. Numerous structures have been renovated and transformed into coffee shops, souvenir shops and guest houses, while some still serve as residences, making it a vibrant and enjoyable place to visit. Must have been a rollicking old good time back in those days in Soi Romanee. Phuket Old Town was a major Chinese trading port and it had a very, very colourful history. And a lot of that still remains as you walk around Phuket Old Town. If you do come to Phuket, it's one of those things a lot of people never even think of. But yes, it's the opposite side of the island from Patong, which of course is much more famous. But I would always recommend, if you make your way down to Phuket, get over to Phuket Old Town and indeed have a stroll down Talang Road and Soi Romanee on a Sunday afternoon, Sunday night. Enjoy the market. It's very beautiful indeed. June the 26th, the first TNT of the week. We go now to straitstimes.com. China has reopened, so why aren't Chinese tourists back in Singapore in droves? Thought it might be interesting to see what the tourism situation is in Singapore at the moment. And the article says the Chinese used to be Singapore's top source of tourists before the pandemic, but even with China's reopening in January, visitors have not returned in droves. And for the first 5 months of this year, arrivals from the world's second largest economy climbed to just 20% of the pre-COVID-19 levels and were overtaken by visitors from Indonesia, India and Australia. Well, for the last 50 years, Singapore's been a very popular port for Australians making their way north into Asia and into Europe. And the idea being that you used to stop there, go and have a bit of a haggle at the markets, and then make your way off to ports in Europe and beyond. In February, China resumed group tours to Singapore and other countries after cancelling them for 3 years in its fight against COVID-19. However, overall growth in outbound tourism from China has remained tepid compared with domestic tourism, as international flights have been slow to resume. And the straitstimes.com article says that factors for the slow rebound in outbound tourism from China include higher airfares on international routes due to limited seats and more cautious spending among Chinese travellers amid the country's slowing economic growth. And that according to a senior tourism lecturer. And here's a graph that shows where the visitors are coming from, and it's a comparison between January to May in 2019 and January to May this year. And if you compare the number of Chinese tourists to 3 years ago, well, obviously a big drop-off. And that's pretty much the same situation here in Thailand as well. A lot of Indonesian visitors and very consistent visitation from places like Malaysia and Australia. And that article from straitstimes.com. Thanks for joining us today as we have a quick whip around Thailand and a few regional stories as well. If you do get a moment, please subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate you dropping in, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow.